Hi there, welcome to Killian's Kitchen. We are going to do a corn salsa. This salsa is a hit. Every time I make this for a party or something, people just love it. So it's a roasted corn salsa. Let's get started. But before we get started, what are we drinking? Now I'm going to do a Michelada for you. Last time I tried a Michelada on another episode, because of coronavirus stuff, I couldn't get any clamato. Now I found clamato, so I'm going to do a proper Michelada for you, so check it out. Now there are two different kinds of Micheladas. There's the proper original OG Michelada from Mexico, and there's the perverted Michelada that you're going to find in most places who don't know any better here in America or anywhere in the world. Basically, they're trying to make a Bloody Mary for you, but instead of vodka, putting beer in. That's not a Michelada. Forget it. Just throw that away. What you want is the pure, simple Michelada from Mexico, and this is how you do it. Cold beer. You need to have a crisp beer. Mexican beer is obviously perfect. My favorite is Victoria, but you can use Corona or Modelo, any of them, as long as it's not a dark beer. You want a bottle of clamato. This is clam tomato cocktail juice. Very popular. We get it everywhere in America. Not sure if that's the case in the rest of the world, but it's tomato juice with some clam juice in it. You need, of course, limes. That's the key ingredient to everything in Mexico. Very important. And you need salt. Check it out. Take a glass, a tumbler, spread a little bit of lime juice over there. Take your salt and just roll it in there until you have a nice frosting on your glass. Perfect. Now some people will put this stuff on there, tajín, or any kind of chili on there. Now, we take the beer and pour it in there. Some people put ice. Don't put ice. Bad idea. Just froths up and foams up, and unless your beer isn't cold to begin with, try and avoid ice. Now we're going to do the clamato. Give it a quick shake. I mean, this is very simple. And the clamato goes in. So you want about half-half. That's what I like. Some people will do more of one or more of the other, just depending. If it's, a hangover cure for you early in the morning, you might want to ease on the beer and put more clamato in. But now I have just beer and clamato in there with the salt. And now possibly the most important part of the Michelada, which is the lime. Be generous. I mean, again, Mexican cuisine is nothing without limes. So I'm going to do an entire lime in there, a whole lime. That's a lot of lime juice. Give it a quick whirl. And it's really that simple. Salud. First, you will need 3 fairly large size onions. I prefer red onions for the flavor and the color, but you can use others too. Okay, so once you've cut them in half and skinned them, what I do is you've got half an onion, put it down and cut it in 2 or 3, I think in this case I'll just do 2, and just cut it almost all the way to the end, but not quite. And so you've got 3 layers cut, and then sort of cut it this way at an angle a number of times, and also again not to the end. So what is happening is this thing is still intact and still holding the whole show together. And so now you have an onion with a lot of slices in there, and now when I cut it like this, half my chopping job is already done. Okay, now I'm going to cut this all down to size. I mean, they're already decent sizes, but, with pico de gallo or this kind of salsa, you really don't want big bite-sized onion parts in there. So we just cut this down a bit. And in they go. Now I have a whole heap of onion here. Now for the cilantro or dania or whatever you call it, you will need 1 medium-sized bunch. I don't like the stalks, so I'm just picking the leaves off and giving it a good chop. That should do it. I myself like it quite fine. Some people like it a bit chunkier. Some people don't even like to cut it up. They just put the whole leaves in there. So in it goes. And now for the limes. Limes are the heart and soul of Mexican cuisine. You're going to need 2 at least, or maybe 3 of them. Now you can use the little key limes. They're probably a better flavor, but they're difficult to work with because they're so small. So I'm just using these Persian lambs, what they're called, and they're perfectly fine. Okay, now for the jalapenos. Depending on how hot they are, everything depends on how hot they are. I prefer to deseed them and take everything out. But if you're buying ones that are not that hot, like the ones you get from Trader Joe's, you might want to keep the seeds in there because otherwise you're going to get no heat. So I just cut the end off, slice it in half, like so, and then just gently open it to break that little bit inside, and then it'll come out pretty easily. And you'll see the seed, there's still some seeds in there. So you just want to go to the basin and flick those off, because in these, I buy these jalapenos from the Mexican stores around here, and they are proper jalapenos. They're hot. And then I just cut them fairly finely. Just put one over the other like that. Makes it a bit easier to cut. Okay, now that they're sort of still in a straight line the way you cut them, it's fairly easy just to do this. And you'll get them pretty close to how you want them diced. So that's already pretty good. Now just a few seconds of this, and I think we'll be good. Okay, that's hot. Holy shit, that's really hot. Okay, so we're good. I don't need any more. 2 jalapenos is going to do it. Okay, so you're going to need 4 cobs of corn. And you can use any corn you like. I prefer white corn. Or actually, what's really good is if you can get a mixture of white and yellow corn. But 2 things, it's got to be fresh. Even better if you buy it with a husk on and you take the husk off, the fresher the better. I could only get white corn today, but usually a mixture of white and yellow is really good. I find just yellow alone is a bit too sweet for me. I'm going to parboil this, so basically just a few minutes. Okay, so now that I've boiled it a few minutes, there are 2 ways to roast them, basically. You can either just take them right now and cut them all the little bits off, and then put that on a baking tray, spread them out as flat as possible, spread it with olive oil, let it sit in there at like 420 for 20 minutes or 30 minutes until you see it starting to go brown. Don't let it go black. But because it's summer and I've got a barbecue, I'm actually just going to take them whole like that and do them out in the barbecue until they're brown, and then I will come and cut them. Now before I pop these in the barbecue, to brown them, to roast them a bit, you should put something on them. Either olive oil or butter. I prefer to use butter, they get a bit browner, I think. Just very lightly take a stick of butter and just very lightly spread it on each one. Very lightly, you don't want much in there. And now they're ready for the grill. Okay, the corn is back from the grill. Beautifully roasted. So let's cut it up. Okay, so just take your knife and along the sides, just shave off all of that beautiful corn from the cob. Cut fairly deep, but don't cut too deep. You don't want bits of cob in there. Okay, now you don't have to chop this all up, because once I put it in here and mixing everything around, it will all come apart. So let's get it into the bowl. And there you have it. In there we have our onions, our cilantro, our jalapeno, and our corn. But before we begin, the most important thing are the limes. Now, I'm not using any vinegar or anything, so lime is basically it for the tartness of this dish. And you're going to need at least 2 whole limes in there, if not more. We'll start off with 2. And then pepper. Set it on as coarse as it possibly go, and we're going to be quite liberal with pepper. And then salt. I always like to use a coarse salt, so you can be again quite liberal with the salt. And last but not least is olive oil. Now I like to use the top shelf stuff. This is a very nice expensive olive oil from Spain. You don't need too much of it. And let's give it a whirl. Now, as you can see, the corn is breaking apart there as we're mixing. And let's give it a quick taste. Oh, that's pretty close. I'm going to do another line and give it a quick mix up. Now, Very often with salsas or pico de gallo, you're going to have to add sugar as well to balance that out. But with the corn, because corn is sweet, even though this is white corn, I don't feel I need to add sugar here. If it was yellow corn, I definitely wouldn't be adding sugar. So I think we're good. That is perfect. I think it's quite hot, it's quite spicy with the jalapenos, which is great. I love spicy. The roasted corn comes through. You've got the cilantro and the lime and the onion, and it's just a perfectly balanced dish. This is to be served as a salsa, you know, with chips or something, but also as a complement to another dish, you know, steak, for example. So, salud with roasted corn salsa and a michelada. We are ready for Mexico. This is about as Mexican as it gets. There's no tricksy stuff in here. Simple dish to make, super fresh, super healthy, super organic. Enjoy.